Hello everybody, welcome to another lesson. Today we are going to discuss converting between the metric and American system. This is particularly useful, especially for those of us who live in the United States, and let's say we take a trip to Canada where they use the metric system. Well, of course, a meter is about the equivalent to feet or yards. A meter is a little bit more than a yard. A meter is equal to 3.281 feet. And then you have kilometers, of course, which are the equivalent to miles in the metric system. So 1 kilometer is a little over a half a mile. It's 0.621 miles. And then you have 1 inch, of course, they use centimeters and millimeters a lot. So 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. So those are some shortcuts for you between the metric and American system. But let's say we wanted to find 330 feet and we wanted to convert that to meters, right? We want to convert the 330 feet to meters. So start with your 330 feet over some guiding 1. Now we want to arrange it in such a way that the feet's going to cancel out and we're going to get meters. Well, we can use the fact that there are 3.281 feet in 1 meter. Well, at this point we have the meters on top. We can cancel out the feet. You're left with meters, which would leave you with 330 meters over 3.281, which is going to give you, if we take this into the calculator, let's do 330 divided by 3.281. You get about 100.58 meters. Be approximately equal to 100.58 meters. So 330 feet is a little bit greater than 100 meters. 100.58 meters. So if you're going 100 meters, that's about 330 feet, and that's the length of most baseball foul lines. If you want to know where that number came from, that's the length of most foul lines in baseball, is about 100 meters. Alright, let's see. Now next you want to convert 12 inches is equal to how many centimeters? So we'll have 12 inches. We want to convert that to centimeters. So you take your 12 inches over some guiding 1. Now we want to get the inches to cancel out. We want to get centimeters as our unit. So the inches will have to go on the bottom. We can use the fact that 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. Right? So your inches will cancel out. Now you'll just be left with 12 times 2.54. So let's go ahead and put that into the calculator. 12 times 2.54, that is equal to 30.48 centimeters. So 12 inches, or in other words, a foot, because we know there's 12 inches in a foot, is equal to 30.48 centimeters. So if you're in Canada and you hear you're going to get about 30 centimeters of snow, that means you're about in for a foot of snow. Yikes. That's a lot of snow. It's my understanding, and please, if you're watching, if you use the metric system, if you live in a country that uses the metric system, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually you measure the snow in centimeters and the rain in millimeters, if I'm not mistaken. Alright, let's see. Next, you want to convert 2 meters is equal to how many feet. So we want to convert from meters to feet. So you'll take your 2 meters over some guiding 1. Now you want to be able to cancel out the meters and get to feet. So 2 meters over 1. Now we can use the fact that there's 1 meter. There are 3.281 feet in 1 meter. Well, suddenly your meters will cancel out. You're just simply left with 2 times 3.281. Two times 3.281. That is 6.562 feet. 6.562 feet. So that's over 6.5 feet, which is over 6 feet 6 inches. So if someone's 2 meters tall, they're pretty tall. Usually height is often measured in meters. Like the height of a person is usually measured in meters, to my understanding. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't use the metric system every day. It's just people I've talked to and what I've seen for countries that use a metric system to measure someone's height. They usually measure in meters. Alright, let's see. How about 65 miles per hour is equal to how many kilometers per hour? That's equal to how many kilometers per hour? So 65 miles per hour is a very common speed limit in the United States. Of course, if you go to Canada or most countries in the world, it's going to be measured in kilometers per hour. So we need to go ahead and convert this. You'll have 65 miles to 1 hour. You'll have 65 miles to 1 hour, right? We want to leave the hours alone, but we want to get the miles to cancel. So we can leave the hours alone, but we know we want to get the miles to cancel out, so the miles needs to go on the bottom. We can use the fact that there are 0.621 miles in 1 kilometer. Now suddenly your miles cancel out. You're left with kilometers per hour. So that's going to be equal to 65 kilometers over 0.621 hours. Well, obviously we want to get this to kilometers per hour. You're going to divide both the numerator and denominator by what's in the denominator. So that would be 65 divided by 0.621. That's approximately 105 kilometers per hour. So if you're in Canada and you see the speed limit 105 kilometers per hour, it's about 65 miles per hour. So that's how you would know what the speed limit is. Doesn't mean 105 miles per hour, it means 105 kilometers per hour. You definitely don't want to get yourself a speeding ticket. Big difference between kilometers per hour and miles per hour. Okay. Let's see. What about 180 miles? 180 miles is about the distance from Indianapolis to Chicago. 180 miles is equal to how many kilometers? So, of course, start with your 180 miles, right? Over some guiding 1. Now you want to get rid of miles, you want to have kilometers. We can use the fact that in a kilometer there are 0.621 miles. You'll want your miles on the bottom of the second ratio so you can end up getting your miles canceling out. So the second ratio, it's 1 kilometer to 0.621 miles. Well, your miles will cancel out. You're left with 180 kilometers over 0.621. Now we just simply do some division and you'll get your answer in kilometers. 180 divided by 0.621, that's about 290 kilometers. So the answer, it's about 290 kilometers from Indianapolis to Chicago. That's exactly what you would get in kilometers. So it just kind of helps to know, about what you're looking at. If you're going to make a trip to Canada, or let's say you live in Canada, you want to come to the United States, you'll also be able to understand the English system if you know how to do basic conversions. Alright. Let's see here. Let's do a good one here. What about 0.25 inches is equal to how many millimeters? There are how many millimeters? Well, 0.25 inches happens to be the thickness of an eraser on a pencil. We want to convert that to millimeters. So again, start with the 0.25 inches, right? Over some guiding 1. We want to get the inches to cancel out. So we can use the fact that in 1 inch, there's 2.54 centimeters. 2.54 centimeters, right? So we go ahead, the inches will cancel out. We have centimeters, but ultimately we want to get to millimeters. Well, we can also use the fact that, because we want to cancel out centimeters, that in 1 centimeter, there are 10 millimeters. Based on our conversion work yesterday, there are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. So now your centimeters cancel out. You're simply left with 3 multiplication terms. So you'll have 0.25 times 2.54 times 10, which would come to 6.35 millimeters. So the thickness of an eraser on the end of a pencil is usually about 6.35 millimeters. Whoops, I think I left that out. I'm sorry. 6.35 millimeters. There we go. Let me show you the board some more. So, yeah. That's really all there is to it. If you know these shortcuts and you know your metric tables real well, is from what we did yesterday, centimeters to millimeters, you can easily make these conversions. So, next lesson, we are going to cover weight and mass. We will do units of weight and mass of both the American and the metric system, and we will even convert between the two. So, I hope everybody has a good night. Take care.